Hello and welcome to another episode of Back on Track. I believe this is episode 4. So let's have a look at what we've been up to, what we've got done, what is in progress, and what we've got planned. Alright, so here we go. So the main bits we've been working on, or the bits that I'd say are 99.9% done, is the left-hand section of our board. Our board has now been named after at least 5 minutes of conversation with the missus. Obviously, this is the missus's village. She is mayor, controller, and everything else. And this is the village/town of Ham. That's right. Established by a rather eccentric family, very wealthy people, who you could say used to go a little bit over ham on things. So this is Ham. This is the bit that we've got done. So first up, we've got Ham Castle. I can't remember if I've shown this in the video. Shots on this aren't brilliant, but it's a Metcalfe Castle. It's just the manor house bit, which works perfectly for what we've done. This is kind of like an evolving town village, where the castle's remained, but everything else has been knocked down, the walls and things like that. And the castle grounds, we've got this driveway. It's an attempt at a limestone driveway cut into this coaly granite rock face. The coal and granite made out of polystyrene. We've got some kind of like texture paint. I've tried my best to do limestone. It's not perfect. If anyone knows how to do limestone really well, please do drop it in the comments. But yeah, so we've got this lovely little limestone drive with a little Romanesque lion fountain. And then we've got the little greenhouse planting area, and we've got some sort of vine-like plants going there. Maybe some tomatoes, maybe some grapes. They're red, and it's got this kind of like little grassy, summery, lush, wildflowery area with a 3D printed greenhouse. I printed that. That's why it's wonky. And then moving on to the actual structure it's based on. So the idea is this used to be a coal mining kind of like town, and this is like levels of the coal, and they decided to build a castle on it. This is polystyrene painted with texture paint, dry brushed and stuff like that, and then some lichen and some tufts and some cypress trees, all second-hand stuff that I managed to get hold of, all stuff I've got kind of just draped on just to distract from the polystyreneness and get this layered rock effect. There's some bits to do. This is a 3D printed fountain, again, which are 3D printed, which is why it's not perfect, but I need to flock the top, maybe put some paths on, and, just generally spruce it up a little bit. And then around the other side, I need to paint it where you can see it, because the board's been turned around. So that's Ham Castle. And then below Ham Castle, you have Ham Park. Now, Ham Park is our little common area. As you can see, you've got the well-dressed man on the bench. He's a bit blurry. He's got his dog. And you've got a man digging. This is, again, it's flocked, static grass, some gravel. We'll talk about the rock in a minute. Second-hand furniture, we've got a Vallejo quick resin poured pond, which represents Ham Beach. Because why wouldn't you want a beach in your little mountainside village? This man's digging for something. We don't know what. He won't say. He's been very secretive. Maybe there's some buried treasure on Ham Beach. But yeah, just a little bit of fun. It needs a little bit of extra work just to kind of make it a bit more beachy. But yeah, we've got this little pond area. We're going to try and get some ducks or something as well, just to kind of plonk them in. And here we have the mysterious rock next to the well-dressed man and his dog. Now, the welded rock, it's a mystery because it appears to be a fossilised shell, and it is in fact a fossil we found on our many beach holidays with our dog. We do a lot of fossil combing and stuff. Obviously, it's just a normal size shell to us, but ridiculously outscaled. And we thought we'll chuck some of our little fossil collections in. And these are just some shots of the roads. The roads aren't finished. That's sandpaper painted black. We've got a queue hanging up for the ice cream man at the minute. But as you can see here, yeah, it's sandpaper. Painted black. You need some dry brushing, need some markings on. Really quick and easy sort of thing. Same as the paving slabs. So the paving slabs are 1 by 1.5 by 1.5 centimetre squares of card. I personally hate the colour, but this is the colour that the missus want. I did my best, tried various different texturing and stuff like that. Not happy with it, but she likes it. And as you can see, this is kind of like the old town part of it that we're slowly building up to her. So that's the main chunks that we've got done as it stands at the moment in our little town of Ham. Alright, so this is a little bit of a change. So originally the layout and everything was in place of how I thought I wanted it, with a single loop and things like that. But after a visit to Barrow Hill turntable, one of the last operational turntables in Britain, so it claims, and I believe it, it's G'd me up to basically make a start on getting the actual track side of it done, because at the minute everything's been very much focused on the diorama town bit at the top, and I've just been buying engines and locos, and because I've had some tracks to run it around on, I've been fairly happy. But they had a layout that they've rescued from somewhere there, which was kind of like, ooh, that looks good. As well as, I went on a little shunter in a brake van, which was fantastic. So when I got in, I also went to WD Models in Chesterfield, because that's originally where we were going to go. And I went with my dad, and he said, "Oh, have you ever heard of Barrow Hill?" "Oh, well, I've heard of it." He said, "Do you know where it is?" And I went, "I'm assuming Barrow Hill." And he laughed at the really bad joke, bless him. But then he said, "Oh, no, it's in Chesterfield." And I was like, "You what?" Because Chesterfield's like half an hour from where we live. But anyway, we went to Barrow Hill after we went to WD Models. I was very giddy because for a while they'd had a Britannia in stock at WD Models for 25 quid. And I wanted another one because mine's in a very sorry state. The one that I bought second hand, it's awful. Somebody has proper dropped a clanger on it, but that's by the by. They didn't have that in, but they did have a 9F in, Evening Star. It says Hornby Triangle on it, so it must be an older one, tender driven, runs like a treat. So that I was like, yay, I've got a 9F, because I love 9Fs. Funny little engines. But yeah, so it really G'd me up to get the track side of things done. So that's looking, or it's at least at the same position as the diorama bit. So we've made legs for the table. And then I've spent the rest of the weekend messing around with various different ways of essentially underlaying it, Originally I was going to do it with cork, and then realised I didn't have enough cork to do the whole double loop, and instead tried to use foam board. One good thing that's come from that is I've learnt foam board's really easy to cut with a bandsaw. Easiest way I've ever cut foam board, to be honest. However, yeah, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't brilliant, it didn't work well as embankment. So then I went back to the original method that I was going to do, and I've just used some roofing felt on the table, and then I can fill in the various different areas and kind of like paint over it and put texture paint and stuff like that over it. It is a little bit loud on the layout, but it's fine. It works, and it works well, and the layout is all now pinned down and running as demonstrated by the 9f doing his little loops. Just looking at any rails here, the idea is, so you know, it is on first impressions a boring loop with a couple of branches off it. But it's a boring loop for a reason. I buy a lot of second-hand locos, a lot of old stuff, a lot of old rolling stock from eBay hauls, and slowly but surely, you know, get them up to a standard where they're running and stuff like that. If you've ever done anything like that, or you buy new locos and stuff like that, you have to bed them in. You have to do them on a loop. Ideally, because an end-to-end is very hard to bed in a motor. So yeah, that's one reason. It's like a little test track. It's got operational value with the station, or when the station's in. It's got a little siding with a pilot engine, and there's all sorts of different points to kind of like fault find on engines and rolling stock and stuff like that. And one of the branches that can come off, the idea is that it's going to be able to be hooked up to a board, which essentially you can have, well, kind of like this on any rail. So this would be an extension. You know, the main line hooks onto that, and then either we put a cassette in, or we just have the engines go off that way, and then another one comes in, and etc, etc, etc. So yeah, that's kind of the plan that we're working with. I'm happy with the layout. I'm happy with the new board. It's got plenty of storage options underneath it. I can put some brackets in, which means I can slot cassettes in. So overall, it's been a pretty busy weekend. Now, I haven't had time to film it all, because it was very much a case of we've got the go-go juice, so let's go running. But yeah, so we're happy with the layout. And as you can see, we've actually got trains running on it relatively reliably so far. That little 9f's been going for a good half an hour. Towing its crane and its Barrow Hill official wagon. Had to buy one. I like the pole for supporting. I see a lot of their stuff on heritage railways and stuff like that. It seems nice. But yeah, so we're going to kind of leave it there for this update video. I'm eager to get something out, because obviously it's been quite a while since I've actually uploaded a video. So as ever, if you've reached this far, thank you for watching. Drop us your comments, drop us your likes, your dislikes, subscribe if you really want to. But other than that, I'll see you next time.